You got to find that balance, and it's really hard. It's hard not to be working 24/7, comparing yourself to other people,
Yep.
looking at screens all day long. Yeah, it's overwhelming.
The reason that we're, in my view, the reason that we're having the difficulty that we're having is that we lose, under 50, we lose more men and boys to suicide than any other cause. And the 35 to 44-year age bracket is sort of peak. And my theory is the reason is that when men step into midlife at about the age of 40, 42, the magic number, meaning of life, 42, the reason it happens around that age is that what men don't understand is that up until that time, we have been building an identity. There are books like Ryan Holiday that says, ego's the enemy and stuff like that. I don't believe that. My view is that our ego is a necessary vehicle and our identity that helps us get shit done.
Oh, absolutely.
People can have, men, for example, can have what I call a small ego or a weak ego, which is the person that doesn't light up the room. You don't even feel their presence. They've got, the wet fish handshake. There's just nothing about them that you want to engage with. The other is the big ego, the chest beating, look at me, I'm the greatest, at the expense of everybody else. And ironically, they're flip sides of the same coin because they're both driven by a lack of self-esteem and self-worth.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny.
Whereas a strong ego is a person who knows who they are, has good boundaries, can agree to disagree, doesn't need to get derailed, isn't dogmatic, can apologize, all those sorts of really wonderful attributes. And someone who meets a leader who has a strong ego will probably follow them because there's something about them that they want. So for the first half of our life as men, it's our development of our ego, our hero archetype, which is what drives us to get shit done. During midlife, we're asked, without even realizing it, to let go of the hero and move into the latter half of life, which is our soul work, which is where our legacy will be left. And it's that significant tectonic shift in our relationship with our ego from initially our master to then our servant. And it's the battle to put our ego in its appropriate place within us so that we can call on it when we need it, but it's no longer driving the bus.
I can relate to all of it. I'm 38 years old, and all the things you're talking about, I'm still. What age group were you saying was the tough period?
Around 42 as we enter into midlife for like the next 5 to 7 years. But 35 to 44 is the peak time for male suicide.
Okay, so the good news is it gets better. So after 44 is when you can expect it to start getting better.
If we do it well.
If we do the work. But but like with what you're talking about there, I've very publicly talked a lot about my own mental health issues, and that was a lot in my 20s, but worked on myself a lot. I've enjoyed my 30s a lot more, but I've found the last couple of years really challenging because it's confusing. It's like, okay, I'm 38. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? I'm still working stuff out. I'm not, I've got an amazing partner. I'm not married yet. I live in New York now. All my core group of friends live in different countries. Certain things that I wanted, I still want, but I'm not as attached to the way that I wanted them, but I still am in a way. So there's confusion about what do I actually want in certain areas, because you're not sort of, wanting as much of the stuff that the ego drove you for, but you're still trying to find, but I still do want it. So it's very confusing.
The question I would ask of you, Nick, is if I put you at base camp of a significant hill, K2, Annapurna, or whatever, would you just turn up and start ascending, not realizing that you're ascending, and then get power out and going, how did I get here? What's happening? Or would you look at it and go, wow, I've never done this before. I wonder what it's like. I've got shorts and thongs on, but really I need to get some proper walking boots and understand and make a bit of a plan. Which one's got the better chance of success? Of course, it's the latter. So when men get to 40, 42, firstly, all we know about midlife is the banal view, oh, it's a midlife crisis and he's going to buy himself a sports car, that sort of attitude.
Yeah.
And it's because men don't talk about what goes on for them during midlife, rather than understanding that midlife is a necessary transition and transformation, shift in the center of gravity of our ego. It's a tectonic upheaval, and it's actually asking us to go into our unresolved childhood wounds, start the healing work if we haven't started already, because if we don't do and build a relationship with the pain of those wounds, we can't get the gift behind the wound. And if we don't get the gift behind the wound, we use what remaining remnants of our ego we have to keep a lid on all this upheaval that's going on. And then we become the guy that goes and gets the big boys' toys. And, the story, the guy with the biggest toys or the most expensive toys wins. So we buy the jet boat, we buy the thing, and we get a woman who's 30 years younger than us, like all those material trappings to compensate for the fact that we haven't done the work on ourselves. And then we grow up into this brittle, grumpy old bastard that no one wants to be around, and we end up being lonely.
Yeah, it's no, it's a miserable, and I've met a lot of those people, and you can see it's not they're not happy. Like, it's not. Well, I mean, I shouldn't be as arrogant to say that, but it feels like they're not happy. There's an emptiness there a lot of the time when people are in that. So is it? I guess if I describe. I feel like I'm doing a therapy session with you now. This is good. Just
I'll
going
speak a little later, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to keep using myself as an example because I'm fascinated, because I'm just, I'm in the middle of a lot of the stuff you're talking about. But I guess with what you're talking about there, my experience, if I look at right now, I feel two contradictory things happening where I am more clear than ever about who I am and what I want out of life. And I find that so liberating. And, I've been able to try so many different things, and it feels amazing to be like, I actually see so clearly what I want to do. I know how to do it. But at the same time, I torture myself and almost tell myself, almost take the joy out of everything, because I'm feeling like, no, but this is unacceptable because I've run out of time to have the success I want to have. I'm getting too old. If I'm not fully established, if I'm not this, I'm not that by this age, I've run out of time. And then I'm like, but it doesn't make logical sense. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but by the time I have kids and stuff like that, that's when my career's over. That's when my life's over. So I've got to do everything before that. Whereas, and even things like the acting that I've taken a big break out, I've started getting back into that. And I'm like, I'm actually loving it again. I'm like, you know what? I believe down the track, I'll be able to actually do better in it. I'm excited to, but I'm like, but the only bad thing is I don't have enough time left. So I keep having these thoughts that it's just this pressure of like, I need everything. This is unacceptable to be a man if I'm not more wealthy right now and more this and more that, and ruining the experience when I'm actually, if I remove all of that, I'm happy with my life and my path. So it's this weird thing.
It's a paradox. It's a dichotomy, and you will find, if you're familiar with Richard Schwartz's internal family systems work, where we have parts of ourselves that want different things, and you explore that within yourself, you'll find there's a part of you that wants to be successful and seen and wealthy and da-da-da-da-da, and there's a part of you that might want to be a dad, and there's a part of you that wants something else, and all those parts are in conflict because they want different things. And there is a way to dialogue with those parts to find out what they really are about. And when you do that, you will learn that you don't need to satisfy all of them 100%. And the thinking that, when I become a dad, my life's going to be over is not true. What will happen is one life will peter to an end to a degree, depending how much you want to maintain that, but a whole new life will begin. And that whole new life is then becoming a parent and shifting your focus. When my mother of my kids was 6 weeks pregnant, I'm in the shower doing my best thinking in the shower, and I'm having a bit of a dialogue with myself, and I'm going, I wonder what this child is here to teach me. And I've come to learn how can I put it, words are implanted, like they don't come from me, they come from outside. And quick as a flash, this voice said, selflessness. Ain't that the truth? And what it brought out in me was a deep sense of care and protection, which I now have become a far more caring human being than I was before I became a parent. And I actually really enjoy demonstrating my care for those around me. So when I run a retreat, for example, some of the feedback that I get from the participants is they felt so cared for because everything they needed, the rooms were done, food, everything, and they felt held in a really safe container, but very nurturing container because they felt cared for. That didn't come from me naturally. That came because I became a parent.
Mm. Mm.
So it's all about the lens through which we look at things through. And a friend of mine many years ago, a wonderful maxim he gave me, he said, it's not what we're looking at, it's where we're looking from.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that been every time I look at something and I judge it or have an assessment or a belief about it, it's like, hang on, where am I looking from? I know what I'm looking at, but where am I looking from? What am I telling myself? What's my inner critic telling me? What are the beliefs and values and prejudices that I have and what I'm looking at? Where did they come from? Are they real? Are they true?
Yeah. And then have you found that's translated into your work as you've gone through that process and sort of enriched it, I guess?
Hugely, because one of the bits of feedback, we had a closing circle on, what's today, my Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, on Tuesday afternoon to close out the week workshop. And some of the feedback from some of the participants was they never felt judged in what they wanted to share. And that's really important to me because how can I sit in judgment of someone else's pain and suffering or even shame? Hello? I'm here, I've been there, I'm still doing my work too. And so that capacity to create a non-judgmental framework has been turned out to be one of my superpowers, but only because I was in that situation where I was carrying shame and guilt and regret and all those things, and then had to build a frame of non-judgment towards myself, as within, so without.
To then be able to give that back. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
Just hold the space for people to allow them to find their way, not to tell them how to do it, not to force them up the mountain, but to stand as a willing guide for those that say, hey, I've got a mountain in front of me. Do you have any idea how I might climb that? And you go, well, yeah, actually, don't turn up in shorts and thongs. Get yourself some good walking boots. Get a day pack, get some oxygen if you're going over 15,000 feet, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But set people up for success rather than just let them hope for the best, where some guys fall off the chessboard and take their own life.
So if you look back to, the story you were telling me when you were, how old were you? You were in your 30s?
33.
33. So you're married, you've got a career, you've got the house, and everything fell apart rapidly.
Owned my home, debt-free, living the life, had a great job, earning really good money, and then left that to form a business, and then 3 years after that, crashed and burned at 33.
So if you look back now on that whole period, are you thankful that all happened because it actually put you on the path that you've now gone on and it forced you to reflect on a lot of things and go down a different path?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be doing anything near what I'm doing today. I could have leveraged my house. I could have bought more real estate. I could have, could have. And talk about a sliding door moment. I can't even fathom what my life might have been like had I gone down a different path. However, I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing and feeling so enriched in my capacity to navigate life itself with far more confidence and grace. You'd have told me 20 odd years ago I'd be in Bali running a week-long retreat for a bunch of guys. I'd say, what have you been smoking? It just is not going to happen.
What were you doing for work originally when that all fell apart? An engineer. Okay, yeah.
In manufacturing, building factories through Southeast Asia, which is work I loved. And funnily enough, it was nearly always with men.
Yeah, wow. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
So I got to see my own and their struggles, and I'm a good observer. And I started having conversations with people. I went, oh, you too. And then it was like, oh. So I joined my first men's group and then realised similarities. Then went to my first men's gathering in 2012. 100 blokes turned up, Gold Coast hinterland in Australia, in Queensland, 3-day weekend. And that was the impetus to get off my ass and write the book in the first place.
Amazing. If you imagine that you did stay on that path and you continued to, you continued to have success in your career and you just kept going down that exact path, what would the version of you sitting with me right now be talking about? What would you be like? What would your body language be? What do you envision that version would be?
I'm not sure I'd be here. I certainly wouldn't be a parent. And I wouldn't have had that amazing life experience of raising two, 23 and 17 now. They're both fine young men, really balanced in their capacity for what I call heart and backbone. They've got good boundaries, they've got a sense of themselves in the world. They've got a great cohort of mates and girlfriends. I think I'd be either one of those boring, brittle, OCD old men, one way or the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, nowhere near where I might have died an early death.